You know, if in 2025 the US government suddenly gave away $1,200 stimulus check, boomers will seriously pay off their credit card debt. Millennials are quietly paying more rent again. What about Gen Z? If not an iPhone 17, then it has to be Taylor Swift concert tickets to flex on TikTok. For Gen Z, enjoying today is more important than saving for tomorrow. The question is, if stimulus checks return in 2025, what will Gen Z buy first? Let's find out in this video, and more importantly, what does it reveal about how an entire generation views money, experiences, and the future? Gen Z, meaning those born between 1997 and 2012, means that by 2025 they will be between the ages of 13 and 28, a generation growing up amidst instability. COVID-19 closed schools, and inflation made even a cup of coffee skyrocket in price. In 2010, a latte in the US cost only about $2.75. By 2020, this figure had risen to $3.65. After the 2022 inflation shock, Starbucks prices increased by an average of nearly $5 per cup. In New York or San Francisco, it's not uncommon to find places selling a cup of cappuccino for $7 to $8. For Gen Z, it's not just about raising drink prices. It's about the memory of a world where even small things became expensive, giving them even more reason to think, who knows if I'll have enough money tomorrow, so I might as well enjoy today. And more importantly, they witnessed the house and car dream becoming almost unattainable. U.S. housing prices have doubled in just 2 decades, and a small apartment in a major city can consume a lifetime's worth of income. Cars aren't cheaper either, with the average price of a new one exceeding $40,000.
Even those who seem to be the most financially safe didn't escape this cycle. Daniel Nakuhn, a professor of astrophysics at UCLA, one of the most prestigious universities in the United States, revealed on TikTok that with a salary of $70,000 per year, he cannot afford rent in Los Angeles and is currently living with friends, essentially homeless. If even a top university professor can't afford the costs, then for Gen Z, owning a house or a car is like a distant dream. So they choose to focus on what's immediately attainable: a new iPhone, Taylor Swift concert tickets, or a trip with friends. Experiences that bring instant joy. So what will the stimulus check in the hands of Gen Z turn into? It's not just about shopping. It's about creating content. Some people will even make stimulus unboxing videos, opening the check like loot boxes in a game, hoping for a legendary skin inside. Some people see it as a ticket to recharge their spirits and head straight to the Taylor Swift concert, shouting, "I might not have a monthly salary, but I definitely need the vibe today." Then there's the YOLO trader group that throws themselves headfirst into crypto, not necessarily because they believe Bitcoin will reach its peak, but because the feeling is no different from spinning gacha. They know it's a gamble, but they still want to try. And of course, those who subscribe to additional services are also indispensable. Netflix, Spotify, or meal boxes delivered to your door for entertainment and to alleviate daily fatigue. What do they have in common? For Gen Z, the stimulus check is no longer government money, but more like a token in a real-life game. What they're buying isn't necessarily something physical, but rather a moment to show off, to connect with the community, and sometimes just to tell themselves, at least I can still be happy today. But behind those colorful choices lies a harsh reality. Let's hear Adriana's story, a 26-year-old from Utah. With an annual income of $30,000, her one-bedroom apartment rent increased from $1,000 to $1,200 in just 1 year. To survive, Adriana had to swipe her credit card to buy food, pay for gas, and feed her pets. Now, she's burdened with a $1,500 debt and can only afford to pay the minimum of $50 each month. According to Business Insider data, Americans are facing a credit card crisis, with Gen Z, ages 18 to 26, being the most affected group. So it's still fun. But the truth is, for Gen Z, the stimulus check wasn't just spending money. It was a spark that further fueled the debt crisis and the YOLO lifestyle. And this is the paradox of this generation. A segment of Gen Z turned the stimulus check into a moment to tell their own stories. I went to concerts, I bought an iPhone, I YOLO'd into crypto. But another segment has to use it to meet the most basic needs: paying rent, stocking the fridge, or buying pet food. The irony is that even while carrying credit card debt, many young people can't resist burning money on small consumer goods.
a set of game skins, a new pair of headphones, or streaming subscriptions to fill the void of their daily struggles. In other words, the stimulus check is both a lifeline and a toy. It exposes a generation caught between the reality of debt and the desire to enjoy life. And it's this very struggle that is the most authentic picture. Gen Z isn't lacking awareness. They're just living in an economy that forces them to choose short-term happiness over long-term security. In summary, the stimulus check is not just an economic policy, but also a mirror, reflecting how an entire generation consumes and enjoys life. And the interesting question is, if you had a $1,200 stimulus check in your hand right now, what would you choose to do first? Team iPhone, Team Concert, Team Crypto, or Team paying off credit card debt? Please comment below so I can see which team has the most members. Don't forget to hit the like button if you found this video right on the money, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next analysis, and share it with your friends to discuss. What will Gen Z really do with the 2025 stimulus check?